Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. This is Sandy, your licensed Central Florida Realtor. We come on to discuss all kind of various real estate topic. And when we're focusing on buyers, doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer or if you're selling a home to buy a home, we focus on all the information you would need to buy a home. And sometimes we bring on our special guests. We're going to introduce them in a minute. And then we do sellers. If you're thinking of selling your home or maybe selling to buy another home or maybe downsizing, upsizing, whatever it is, we focus on that. Today, I also want to say that I hope all of us are being safe. The COVID numbers are rising. They're big time on the rise. And just wanted to make sure everybody's being safe. We do practice a lot of safety measures when we're showing homes and that kind of thing. We do a lot of virtual tours. We do all the Zoom calls as we're doing right now, just to make sure we're staying safe and we are making sure that we're doing the social distancing thing. So just want to say that real quickly. All right, so without further ado, we have Dave joining us today. Dave is a lender and he specializes in all kind of different loans. But today we're going to be focusing on how can you buy a home with as little down payment as possible and what kind of assistance are out there, particularly for first-time home buyers when they buy a home. So Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you and have you tell us how can we get down payment assistance or how can we get any kind of help when we're looking to buy a home.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sandy. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on here and talk about some of the different ways that people can get into homes that maybe they weren't aware of. All right. So as Sandy mentioned at the outset, I'm going to be talking about down payment assistance. There's three main things that people need when they go to buy a house. Typically, you need to have an income to be able to have your debt to income ratio qualify you for the home that you're looking to buy. That monthly payment has to work based on your income. Then you need credit. Credit score is obviously important in terms of what you can qualify for as far as interest rate goes and program. And then the third thing is having that money in order to put down for down payment as well as closing costs. A lot of people, they think if they just put 3.5% down, that's all there is to it. I have a lot of people that come to me and say, well, I've got, $7,000 and the house is 200,000 and they think that's their 3.5%, but they don't realize, a lot of first-time home buyers, that there's closing costs as well to take into consideration. And then all of a sudden they feel, they're lost or sad because they don't have the money they thought they had in order to buy a home. So that's where down payment assistance programs can really help folks qualify that maybe they couldn't before. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how it works. So as a buyer, you can get between $7,500 and $10,000 to help you buy a home. And it can be used for down payment or with closing costs. So if you've got your down payment money, this can go towards your closing costs, even though it's called down payment assistance. That is true that it can be allocated towards the closing costs. The difference between 7,500 and 10,000. So a regular average citizen like myself can get $7,500, or somebody who is what we consider a community partner can get up to $10,000. And so I'll touch on that, but it can be typically military, a teacher, somebody that's helping in healthcare right now on our front lines, helping with the COVID situation that Sandy alluded to earlier. So I'll expand on that in just a moment. The next thing, how do you qualify? So there are income thresholds. So based on the county that you're purchasing in, if you're somebody that's looking to take advantage of the system, but you make $200,000 a year, you're probably not going to qualify. You're definitely not going to qualify. The programs are designed to help someone who might be a little bit disadvantaged income-wise in order to get into a home. So that might be one way that you can't. So we can talk more about that at another time. The second thing is you have to complete a home-based counseling program, home buying counseling. So that you go through a brief course, and it might take you 30 to 45 minutes, and it's something that can be done really easily. So you have to be a first-time home buyer or have not bought a home in the past 3 years. So if you bought a house 5 years ago, you can actually qualify for this program. Also, veterans can qualify for the program. If somebody's in the military, I think active duty or veteran can both qualify for the program, even if it's not their first time buying a home. So some questions. I'll pull up this just a moment here. But how can I qualify for the 10,000 rather than the 7,500? Let me pull this up. This is the community partners. So this just talks about the community partners. This is a little brochure about the product. This is a bank that we partner with, and let's see, $10,000, current or retired law enforcement, educators, healthcare, firefighters, first responders. So there's 5 or 6 categories there. So that's how you would qualify for the 10,000. So it's and that's a lot of money. So let me go back to the previous screen. Let's see. Can you go back? Are you back on the PowerPoint? Okay, great. So do you have to pay anything out of pocket? So the minimum contribution is you have to at least bring $1,000 that can go towards your earnest money deposit. It can go towards your appraisal, inspection, just some of the cost of buying a home. And that money can actually be gifted. So if you get a $5,000 gift and then you get $10,000 down payment assistance, you may not have to bring anything, but that $1,000 minimum contribution can actually be a gift fund, meaning from a family member. And so that can be really helpful. You can actually get away with not having to bring anything to the table in some cases. Can you get money back at the closing? No. So any overages would just be applied to your principal balance. So for some reason, if you get an extra $2,000, let's say you get 7,500 and you only needed 5,500, that extra 2,000 would go towards your principal balance and pay down that loan amount. So what do you do next? First thing you do is call me, or you can email me. My email address is david.davis@firsthomebank.com, and I'll show that again in just a minute. But a lot of people are shy at first, but if you want to email, you can. And then you can find out how much you qualify for. So how much, based on the down payment assistance, but also almost how much house as well. And then the third thing I would suggest is start house shopping. So I tell you, hey, you're qualified for up to $250,000. You can get up to $7,500 in down payment assistance. We send you out with Sandy, and she gets a pre-qualification letter for you, and hopefully you guys find something. And then maybe a month or 2 months later down the road, you're closing on a home and saving money in the process. So that's really it. There's always more details in these things, but that's the basics of it. And then here's that email address again, in case you wanted to email. Sometimes that can be hard to reach at first on the first phone call, especially after something like this, where a lot of people are showing interest in learning how to qualify for it. And then let me pull up one of the other PDFs. So this just shows, again, some of the, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. It's probably hard to see. Looking for a zoom option here. Well, in any case, no, that's more of a search. So this just talks about the subsidies and how much you can get for each one. We've just been focusing on this first-time home buyer. And again, here's where it says it can go towards down payment and or closing costs, the types of properties. So it's definitely only owner-occupied. You do not have to pay these back as long as you keep the property for 5 years. So if you keep the property for 5 years, it's forgivable. If you sell the property within the first 5 years, you may have to pay part of the grant program back. It's called a recapture fee. And so that's something to consider too. If you're looking to just buy a house for a year or two, or if you're looking to buy an investment property, it may not be a good fit, but we can certainly talk through that and figure out if it would be. So if you've been on the fence thinking about buying a home, and if you got good credit, so for this program, you do need a 640 to qualify. That is pretty standard for a lot of these down payment assistance programs. We're actually set up with 2 different ones. This is the one that is more commonly used and a little bit easier to navigate. The only downside I would say is, you're having basically 2 underwriters look at it, the lending underwriter as well as the down payment assistance underwriter. So it might, I would say, take an extra 15 to 30 days in order to close, but it could be worth it if it's the difference, between you buying a home and not buying a home. So again, 640 owner occupied and the income threshold, but be happy to take a look with you and see if you can qualify for it. But again, if you've been sitting there thinking, I've got a 680, my income works, I can afford a payment, but I just don't have enough money to afford down payment and the closing costs. Well, there's now this avenue that maybe you weren't aware of, and let's take a look and see if we can get you, signed up and enrolled and approved for it. Anything that you can think of, Sandy, that maybe I glazed over, didn't touch on, or have questions about?
Is there a starting salary point, a starting income point, or a I don't know, like a ratio income that to have an idea of what income would qualify, or is it just based on income to debt ratio type thing?
It's based on family size and county. And the reason I didn't have specific numbers is because obviously we both cover multiple counties, and
Right.
there's two different programs, and honestly their numbers vary. One of them, the program that I like better, has a tougher income threshold. So theirs might be like $50,000 for a family of four as far as gross income, and then the other one, which might be a little bit more difficult and have some more restrictions in other areas, they might go up to like 80,000. So it's why I want to look at it on a case by case basis. And again, it just depends on the number of people in the house, and they do factor in all income. So if you've got a 19-year-old in the house and she's making $1,000 a month, they do look at that as well. So there is a few different variables, but yeah, that's a case by case and county by county.
Okay. And just to go over this again, normal people could apply for this program and they get $7,500 in assistance, but if you're a frontline worker, you get up to 10. Is that correct, or did I?
Correct. So yep, frontline basically can get up to 10,000. So even if you're a healthcare worker or a teacher or anybody that's been helping, front lines with COVID, anybody that's really deemed as essential tied into COVID, is a new addition for 2021. So that wasn't something that was always there, obviously. But yeah, so $7,500 for just a regular first-time home buyer, and then $10,000 for frontline workers.
All right, and I know we didn't discuss this, but I just wanted to bring this up because it's a part of a down payment thing, I think. Can you touch a little bit on a USDA, how that will be different from this? Because I know they have very strict rules on a USDA loan.
So yeah, so USDA, for those of you who don't know, is housing for rural areas. And yeah, there's a few areas near you, but not a lot, where you can plug in what's called the census tract, which is basically like an address by numbers, and figure out whether or not that property is in an area that's rural enough to qualify. But technically you could do a USDA loan for 100% financing if you're buying in a rural area, and then also combine that with a program like this. And again, you're probably coming in only needing that $1,000, because if you're buying, let's say, a $250,000 house, your closing costs are typically 3%. So that's $7,500 right there. So you would just need to bring your $1,000, which really you need anyway. You need to be prepared. You're going to have the appraisal and inspection and those things up front that you have to pay for. So that's probably one of the reasons that they require that. But yeah, it's totally compatible.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a great idea. So guys, if you're looking to buy a home in 2021, if that's one of your New Year's resolution and you're trying to figure out the best way to do it, Dave has now given us a great option where we could actually buy and get down payment assistance or use for closing costs. Either way, you can get $7,500 or $10,000 based upon your occupation. And that could go a long way in you purchasing a home. And the credit score of 640. So remember that we do offer credit repair services if you're interested in bringing your credit score up. So we have a video on that. You could request that and we'll send it out to you to see how you could, if your credit score is not where it needs to be, or you could get it there. And it doesn't take as long as you think. So it may not take a year or two. It might take a few months, but it's based upon where you are. Dave, while you're on, I know that I just want to be sure that with the FHA loan, you could have a score of as little as 580. Is that still the case?
Correct. So you can actually do an FHA loan down to a 580. It just wouldn't be compatible with these
Right.
programs.
Right.
But yes, you can definitely do FHA down to 580 as long as everything else works,
Okay.
meaning meaning debt to income and all that.
Right. Right. So that's why it's so important for you to get your credit score as high as you can get it, because the higher the score, the more programs you could qualify for, and the more help you could get. But with the lower
Correct.
score, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at somebody earlier who the difference between her being at a 620 and a 640 was like $5,000 or $6,000 in closing cost. That's what the rate cost, and so we're going to try and get her to a 640 because it's going to save her that much money. And all she has to do is spend I don't know, $100 or $200 on a credit card. So we definitely want to look at the whole picture and see if there's a way to get you to that next tier, because these days those 20-point tiers make a huge difference. Going from a 680 to a 700, or a 620 to a 640 or whatever it is, and it might be something easy and make a huge difference financially for you. So, but that's definitely something that we can take a look at as well for you.
Okay, so if someone had, some kind of credit issue, is it a good idea for them to kind of give you a call and have you pull their credit and go over it with them so you could tell them what are some of the things they could do to build that score up?
Yes and no. So we have a software called Credit Expert, and it basically just feeds off of our credit reporting company that we use, and it'll tell us their score and then their potential score right on the report,
Okay.
which is nice. But the reason I say no is because if someone's got like a 520, usually the damage it's more of a long-term thing, and they need to contact a credit repair company unless you have somebody that you work with for something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually hesitant to recommend too many of those, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're throwing good money at bad in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've had success with that, but if somebody's close, if they're a 570 or 580 or and above, I'm happy to see if there's a suggestion, and then I will print that out or email that PDF, and try and help them through that and get that back to the credit bureaus, and then do a rescore, like a credit boost, and see if we can get their score up a little bit to help them.
Okay, we do have a program that works really well. And it depends upon the individual, because with this credit repair program that we work with, it involves a lot of the person trying to do what they tell them to do. And if they don't keep up with what they need to do, then of course it doesn't work that well. So,
Hmm.
so
Yep,
it depends
that's
upon
right.
yeah, it depends upon how aggressive they are in trying to get their credit up. But if you're aggressive in trying to get your credit up, we definitely have a program that will work for you. And the buyers I have that actually follow the program, they see significant change within the first 3 to 6 months.
Hmm.
So I would definitely, we have a video on that. If anyone is interested, I'll definitely send you the video. There's something else I was gonna ask you, and oh my gosh. Completely. Oh my goodness, I'm getting old. I'm getting old. And it was in the same realm. Oh, interest rates. That's what it was.
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about interest rate, what they're doing right now, and how do you see them going in the next few months?
Yeah. So wish we had that crystal ball to see what they are going to do. But I'll tell you kind of what the industry speculation is. Right now they're anywhere from 2.75 for somebody that's got 800 score and putting a good down payment down, to 3%, 3.125. Also, FHA is actually the government interest rates for good credit is like 2.625. And these are all no points kind of loans, because you can always buy the rate down. So when you see a lot of the advertisements online or on TV saying 2.25%, there's a lot of fine print that doesn't get disclosed, and it's usually going to cost you to get those rates. But where they're going, there's a cost to waiting. Some people think waiting is a good idea, but I don't know. I know that the government's been buying our bonds, kind of printing money, buying our bonds to keep rates low through something called quantitative easing. We think that they're going to back off of that a little bit.
Mhm.
Just don't know how soon, but I would expect them to go up a little bit. I just don't know how soon that's going to happen. And I think that, obviously we've got a new president coming tomorrow. Those kind of things have already probably been built in weeks ago. So we were all expecting to see a little bit of a bump there. But they have gone up an eighth of a point maybe, but they're pretty settled at 3% ish right now. And I don't see them certainly going down. I see them going up before they're going down. I mean, you and I both hope that they stay low forever, but I can probably see them by the end of the year trickling up a little bit. But housing is what's keeping the economy going right now. So the government doesn't want to screw that up. So they'll continue to buy those bonds until I think at least COVID goes away and we start to see other parts of the economy recover.
Yeah, because we have a very healthy real estate market right now, even during COVID, which everybody's like, nobody can explain it. I think it's partly because of the very low interest rates that we have right now. And I see people sometimes buy down their points to try to get it even lower. So I think that's great. I saw something today. It was released by MNBC where they were saying the new president is thinking of giving some kind of a home buying incentives of $15,000 and people would be able to use that for their down payment. Have you heard anything like that?
No, I certainly haven't. But that would be great for both of us. I think anything to contribute to the housing market, I'm all for. So, but no, I hadn't heard that yet. I don't watch much news because it tends to be negative. But that sounds like some good news for a change.
Yeah. I saw it. My husband brought my attention to it. I'm like, oh my God, if this is really true, hopefully you don't have to jump through the hoops to get it, but that would be great. Since they're saying you could use it as a down payment.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, I hope we all qualify for that. Because the housing market's already on fire. It's, part of it is that we're all working remotely. Not all of us, but most people are now working remotely. So they're stuck in their house 24 hours a day or, a good part of the day. And they realize that they want something different or bigger or in a different place. And since they don't have to be close to work, that, eliminates that as a requirement for where they're going to live. So it's been good. It's been good for us. It's been good for people that do remodeling. Contractors, obviously very busy. There's a lot of people, since they are stuck in their house, realizing they want a new kitchen or to fix that, leaky sink that's been bothering forever. So, so in that respect, COVID has actually been a blessing for our industry. But obviously, I'd rather COVID go away and hopefully our industry still continue to thrive.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. The real estate market is really hot right now, as Dave just said. People are still buying. I think, and as he also said, because people are staying home more, they want a bigger home, or maybe you're renting an apartment and the apartment isn't big, and then the kids are also home, and they're doing virtual school, so you got to find space for those. So a lot of people that are looking, they're also looking for that extra bedroom that they could turn into an office or a virtual classroom for their children. So that's also a great deal. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So with this program that Dave just took us through, that would be a great way if you're thinking of buying to get into, especially if you're a first-time home buyer and you're struggling with, getting enough income for your down payment and your closing costs. If your $7,500 is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a difference maker.
It is. And then if you are on the front line, like a nurse or doctor or home health aide or any of that stuff, are teachers a part of this too?
That's a good question. I believe they are, but now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't see them. Let's see. I think I did see educators.
I know I saw firefighters.
Yeah, educators are.
Okay.
As well.
Okay, so if you're a teacher, you could qualify for the $10,000, which is a lot of money to put towards buying a home. So definitely give Dave a call, see if you qualify. You could give me a call if you're thinking of looking as well. Dave could go over your price range with you, what price you should be at, and based upon your credit score and your debt to income ratio and all that great stuff that he does. I could help you in locating the property and see what home, the best home you could get for the least amount of money, because that's what we all want to do.
That's right. Yeah.
And you could email Dave or send him a text with any questions you have. If you need to send a message to me, just reply to this video and I will definitely get the answer out to you. But we try to educate the public as much as we possibly can, especially in the real estate arena. If you're thinking of buying, so you have as much knowledge, so you know how to approach the situation. And with the interest rate being this low, and I wanted to touch a little bit on this, with the interest rate being this low, it makes it even easier for you to buy a home because your mortgage payment may be lower than your rent. So Dave, I'm not sure if you have a calculator. I hate to put you on the spot, but if somebody was buying a home, let's say for 250,000,
Yeah.
and they're doing just typical 3.5% down, what kind of, and everything remains the same, what kind of monthly payment would they typically be looking at? Now,
That's a great. This is where I talk gibberish to stall for a minute. But yeah, the answer to the question is, or to elaborate on what Sandy is saying, is that right now, since rates are low, you do have more buying power. So your dollar is going to get stretched further, and you'll be able to buy a little bit more house. So let's just see. Really depends on a few things like FHA versus conventional, and what the property taxes are and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, just to get that part.
yeah, so like if you're buying a house for 250,000, we'll just say you're doing FHA, and we'll say the interest rate on this program is 2.75, and we'll use 200 a month for taxes and 100 for insurance, and then leave the PMI in there. We won't complicate it, so there's no homeowners association dues. Payment's $14.55 a month. So
Oh my gosh, really?
yeah, and that includes your PMI, which that's 170 of that. So if you can actually get up to a 5% payment, 5% down payment, you get to go Fannie Mae or conventional, and the PMI is a lot less, and so that payment might even be $80 or $100 less. So and those PMI factors, they can also depend on credit score and that kind of stuff. But I think you're just looking for a ballpark, and so if you're buying a $250,000 house, it might only cost you $1,500 a month.
$1,500.
Say it again.
Right? $1,500.
Yeah, $1,400 to $1,500. I think is reasonable at that 250 price point. So,
what about if it was 300,000? I just want to compare both.
Yeah. So usually a good rule of thumb is $4 for every 1,000. So every 10,000 is $40. Right. So 50,000 would be $200. But then you also have the bump up in taxes and insurance as well. So let's bump those up a little bit, and we'll say 1,750. So 300,000, maybe 1,750 a month. Oh
my goodness. See, guys, you could literally buy a home. I know a lot of you are paying more than $1,750 per month in rent.
Yeah.
Or even $1,500 a month in rent if you bought a $250,000 home. And you could even buy something cheaper if you bought like a townhome to get started with. Those you could get in the 200s, like very low 200s. So you could still be a homeowner paying less than what you're paying for mortgage with these great interest rates, and using Dave with this great down payment program if you need it. So, I mean, really, the phone should be ringing off the hook.
Yes. Bear with me if it takes me a day to get back to you. A lot of times these things drive a lot of traffic, and I definitely will get to you. I won't neglect you completely, but keep in mind there's a lot of people that are interested right now in buying homes, and but we'll get you qualified, and like I said, get you back to Sandy so she can start sending you the listings to look at online, and then take you out and try and find you, hopefully the home of your dreams, or at least your first home. And the benefits of home ownership are very lucrative, from tax benefits to writing off your mortgage interest to gaining appreciation. I mean, that's how you really build wealth, is through paying down that mortgage and watching it appreciate 4 or 5, 7% in some years, depending on where you are. So and again, it's a great time to buy because of the interest rates. So I'm not old enough to remember, but I've heard they were like 18% in the late 70s. So that's pray to God that never happens again.
Right? I've heard that too.
I'll be able to afford a $12,000 home.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, this is a great time to buy. I know Dave is going to join us again one of these other weeks to give us more information, but typically when we do these kind of recording or these kind of videos, we do get a lot of calls. So if you're calling or texting, and Dave is very good, I have to give him this credit. He's very good in returning phone calls and being on top of things. Yeah, Dave, you're good. Kudos. Yeah. So if he's not getting back to you, he's really overwhelmed, to be honest, and he will get back to you as soon as he possibly can.
Yes, I hate when my to-do list starts stacking up on me, so I don't like to have that anxiety. So I try and get back to you and see if we can get you help and point you in the right direction as soon as possible. So
Awesome, Juice. All right, guys, so we're gonna wrap it up. So guys, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your time. We know you took some time out to listen to this. We appreciate that. Do give Dave a call for the information that he shared regarding the assistance that you need. And even if you don't need assistance, he's a great lender. So he could direct you in any number of different directions. You could be like on the fence and you're trying to decide where to go. He'll be able to give you that information. Our company in showing homes and in light of COVID, we do a lot of live virtual showings. So if you're in the northern state like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Boston, Chicago, wherever you are, and you're looking at homes and you're trying to decide what to do, we do a lot of live virtual tours. So you could be in your home in New York, Connecticut, wherever, and see a home that you like, and we will go out and do a live Zoom with you. So you'll be able to see the home. We'll walk through the home with you. You'll be able to see the outside, what's up the road, across the street, down the road, because a lot of times the live virtual tours doesn't really give you a flow of the home. Like you don't know what happened when you walk through the front door and if I go to the left or to the right or straight ahead. So our live virtual tours are really, really great once you decide to start getting actively looking and you talk to Dave. And remember, guys, it's very important that you do a pre-approval before you start looking, because what you don't want to do is start looking at homes that you ultimately won't be able to qualify for. So let's say you start looking at homes at 350 and Dave tells you, well, you can only do 300. Then all of a sudden, all the $300,000 home are not going to look that great. So, right, Dave, you can attest to that one.
yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
So you definitely want to be pre-approved. So thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we're going to be signing off. And Dave, thank you so much for spending time with us and educating us in the field. Do you have any last final words you want to say?
No, thank you so much for having me. If you're not a first-time home buyer and you are looking to move up in homes, make sure you let Sandy know that you're interested in figuring out what your home is worth, so she can get you that information, and then she can get you back to me, and we can figure out what you can qualify for next using the proceeds of the sale of that home. So just in case anybody listening tonight is not just a first-time home buyer. And that's it. No, thanks for having me. I appreciate our relationship and working with you, and looking forward to many more home buyers helping them along the way in years to come. So thanks for having me. Hopefully everybody learned something, and if not, thanks anyway.
I'm sure they did. Thanks so much, guys. Bye for now. I'll be back with you on Thursday talking about sellers, and then back next Tuesday talking with buyers again. Bye, guys.
Bye, Sandy. Thank you.
All right, you got it.